Welcome to Station, your J Series recap show. I am Alex, of course, my partner in crime, as always, Dustin. Dustin, how you doing after a nice clean series against the Chicago White Sox?
First sweep of the season, got the brooms out. It's a great day.
All right, so the Jays roll into this series 13-9 and fourth in the AL East. Just came off a road trip where they were 3-3. Roster changes for this series. Nate Pearson has been recalled, and Adam Simber placed on the 15-day DL with a strain to his right rhomboid. That's fancy talk for upper back. So we finally got to see Nate Pearson in this series make an appearance and, of course, get a call up. Um, Dustin, any thoughts on, I guess, this long awaited call up for Nate Pearson?
Yeah, he was the one of my guys to watch in the spring training preview that we talked about. I think it's great to see him finally get a chance. I know he's had some opportunities in the past, but he's been kind of beset by injuries and by just random bad luck and honestly some bad performance on his part. But I think his role in the bullpen is kind of gonna fit with his pitch, mix and just his attitude. And I hope that he'll be able to give some fireball down in the bullpen there and give a different look for that bullpen.
Well, he's definitely got a big arm, so definitely looking forward to seeing what he has to offer us. Lineup changes for game number one. Vladdy over at DH. Kirk is our catcher. Merrifield at second base, and Biggio's in at right field as George Springer was given the night off. Our pitching matchup: Chris Bassett versus Lance Lynn. Chris Bassett had a number of great starts up to now, coming into this game, he is 2-2 with a 5.40 ERA and a 1.34 WHIP. So there's no scoring until the top of the third, where the White Sox get 2 runs on an RBI double to the wall in center field. The Jays come back in the bottom of the fourth, and Luis Robert Jr. on the White Sox basically takes a home run away from Matt Chapman. It was definitely Kevin Kiermaier esque. The ball was definitely gone, and he definitely brought it back. So Matt Chapman continues his good year, but did not, unfortunately, get a home run on that particular play. Kirk walks in this inning. There's a belt single, so Kirk advances to second base. And then Whit Merrifield steps to the plate and hits a RBI double right down the line to left field, and Alejandro Kirk scores. Biggio steps to the plate after this and smashes his second home run of the season. It's a 3-run home run to right field, and this inning, after the Jays are down 2-0, they flip it quickly, and they are now up 4-2. This game stays the same way until the top of the seventh, where Zach Pop replaces Chris Bassett. Chris Bassett's pitching line this game: 6.1 innings pitch, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Now, this was his fourth straight quality start, so he's really found his form. But the one item of note on this was that he left the game. He actually threw a pitch and then basically waved to the bench for the trainer, and he had back tightness and was taken out of the game. Uh, Bottom of the seventh, Vladdy singles, decides that he wants to steal second, and then advances to third on a Varsho infield groundout. Matt Chapman up to his old tricks. RBI double following that to left field, right over the left fielder's head, hitting the wall. Vladdy scores, and the inning finishes 5-2. We have another pitching change for the Jays in the top of the eighth. Tim Meza comes in to replace Zach Pop. And then we have top of the ninth, Jordan Romano comes in to replace Tim Meza, and our game ends 5-2. Our winning pitcher is Chris Bassett. Losing pitcher Lance Lynn. Bassett is now 3-2 with a 4.82 ERA, and his WHIP is 1.25. Dustin, have you noticed that in the when Romano's coming on for a save, they show his whole entrance and they don't cut to commercial at all?
Yeah, I think they had that in the first time he came out at home. They followed him from the bullpen from behind, and yeah, didn't go to commercial, and you know, showed the whole thing. So I think that's a interesting little touch there, for him. Hopefully, hopefully he can keep that job. He's been doing that, um, pretty good there. But yeah, that's an interesting little, uh, sideshow or whatever you want to call it.
Well, it's definitely something that brings a different perspective to the game, as we don't often see what a pitcher sees when he does come out of the bullpen. We just kind of see
Mm.
him, trotting in after the manager has made the call. I actually thought that was pretty cool, and I hope they keep that up throughout the season.
Yeah, they've had some interesting camera shots recently. You know, sometimes you'll see the shot from behind the umpire, on a pitch. Sometimes you'll see, you know, when there's a home run or somebody scores, trotting around, they'll kind of have a cameraman out on the field and following them, pretty closely. It looks like a Sports Illustrated shot, you know. So it's some interesting, cameras there. I like it.
Well, we'll see if that sticks. I've always liked the catcher cam where the catcher's
Yeah.
wearing a camera. Now, it seems like they only really do that for all-star games, but I do like seeing that. And I think these added angles and different camera shots are, maybe they're not shown all game, but they definitely do add a little bit to the broadcast. Now, game number two. We have lineup changes. Belt is in at DH, Merrifield at second base, and Danny Jansen in at catcher. Pitching matchup for game number two: Jose Barrios versus Mike Clevinger. Barrios is 1-3 with a 6.23 ERA and a 1.20 WHIP. Dustin, Barrios had another great start.
They've been getting a lot of those lately. Yeah, I think he's found something. He's found his mechanics. He's found his, release point, whatever it is. Uh, it's pretty good to see that, once this team can get their pitching, straightened up. I mean, it's going to be hard to beat.
Well, it seems they talked about on the broadcast that the offseason he was changing his mechanics a little bit. And I guess maybe early in the year he was probably still working that out. But he's apparently throwing his curveball a lot more than a lot of his other pitches. So, shuffled things around a bit, giving hitters a different look. And he's been quite effective in all of his starts. And I think effective is actually not doing the guy justice. Like he's been very good for a few starts now, and he just hasn't always got the run support that other pitchers have got on the staff.
Yeah, and it's something you've pointed out previously. He had, even though last year a lot of people say, he had a bad year, which he did, on the whole. He got a lot of run support behind him. He still had positive wins. I think what kind of happened to him is when it went bad, it went really bad. And, instead of giving up one or two runs, he gave up 7 or 8. So if he can keep those runs or those kind of bad spots down to a minimum, and find whatever it is that, gives him that ability to bear down and keep that scoreboard um, not so not so dramatic, he'll have a great season, I think.
All right, so rolling into this one, uh, bottom of the second, Danny Jansen steps up to the plate, and the Jays get on the board early as Jansen hits his second home run of the season, which is a 3-run home run to left field. So that inning ends 3-0. Bottom of the fourth inning, we have more offense from the Jays. Witt walks. There's a Danny Jansen single, so Witt advances to second base. Witt then steals third. Kiermaier then steps to the plate and has a 2 RBI triple, scoring Witt and Jansen. Springer then steps to the plate, who has an RBI single of his own. Kiermaier scoring in that case, and that inning ends 6-0. Bottom of the sixth, Danny Jansen steps to the plate again and cracks another home run, this time a solo shot to left center field, and that inning ends 7-0. Top eight, Barrios makes way for Nate Pearson, who enters the game at that point. Barrios' pitching line, 7.0 innings pitched, 4 hits, 0 earned runs, 1 walk, and 9 strikeouts. So a very good pitching line again. Top nine, Anthony Bass comes in a non-save situation, and the game does end 7-0. So another shutout. Winning pitcher in this one, Jose Barrios. He's now 2-3 with a 4.71 ERA, and our losing pitcher on the Chicago White Sox side is Mike Clevinger.
I thought that, just touching on Nate Pearson again, watching him, I watched him fairly closely. I think he hit the first batter that he faced, but he was able to bear down, and I think he really had a good confidence building performance there in that inning. It wasn't a pressure filled situation. The Jays were up fairly heavily, and he didn't really need to worry too much. Just focus on getting those uh, pitches across the plate, which is something that he's struggled with. Although he's had a lot of success in the minors this season, I think giving him that opportunity there and watching him get some weak ground out, a pop out, and get a strikeout there. Hopefully that build his confidence, and we can see him in higher leverage situations moving forward.
Well, I imagine that Nate Pearson, unless he isn't able to step up and face the major league level hitting, I find it hard to believe that he's going to be going back down to AAA. Like, I think someone else is going to make way, and this is, I guess, one of those good problems to have in sports where you know you got to make a decision on somebody, and there's just so many good options. And of course, Mitch White also coming back from injury. We don't know when we're going to see him, but he might figure out in the bullpen as well.
Yeah, the tough thing about it is the guys that have options, like the guys that you can easily send up and down, are the guys you want to keep up, and the guys that you'd be willing to send down, someone like Trevor Richards, maybe Anthony Bass. These guys don't have options. You'd have to DFA them and expose them to maybe being picked up by another team. It's tough, but hey, sometimes you got to make those tough decisions, I guess.
Well, we'll see what decision is made by Ross Atkins. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe because of the options that Nate Pearson has this year, maybe he does get sent back down. We'll see.
Yeah. Sometimes these things work themselves out. I mean, the injury of Simber, maybe somebody else gets injured. Who knows? We'll see.
All right, moving on to game number 3. The lineup changes we have: Varsho is in center, Kirk at DH, as Kirk is at DH, Jansen's in at catcher, Merrifield is in left field covering off Varsho, and Espinal is in at second base. Our pitching matchup is Yusa Kikuchi versus Mike Kopech. Kikuchi comes into this series 3-0 with a 3.80 ERA, 21.1 innings pitched, 20 strikeouts, 5 walks, and a 1.17 whip.
Is Kikuchi the ace of this staff? I mean, he's 4-0, 3 ERA. He just looks so dominant out there. I mean, I know he didn't go deep. You know, they pulled him in, I think, after one batter in the sixth, something like that. But, you know, the fact that, uh, you know, he's in the same conversation, I think, as like Kevin Gosman and, you know, Manoa is not what we thought would happen with Kikuchi this year. So it's, you know, it's an interesting question.
Well, I think we'll go over his pitching line in a little bit, but I actually would, as well as he's pitched, I would surmise that Kikuchi has been very fortunate in terms of his run support as well versus Gosman and Manoa and other pitchers on this team. But he's definitely pitching well. All right, bottom of the third, Espinal singles. George Springer was hit by a pitch, and we'll talk about that more in a moment. Espinal moves to second base on that play. There is a Bo RBI single, so Springer's over at third. And then Vladdy steps to the plate, and he cracks a 2-run RBI double, and that inning ends 3-0.
An interesting fact on that double. So today, April 26th, 2018 was Guerrero's first game in the major leagues. And he hit a very similar ball double on his first at bat, or well, not his first at bat, but he hit a very similar double on his first hit in the major leagues. If you look at them kind of side by side, I saw something on Instagram or TikTok or something of them side by side, and they look like identical twin doubles, on the same day. It's really cool.
5 years apart.
Yeah.
All right, bottom of the fourth, Dalton Varsho walks. Following that, Witt singles, so pushes Varsho over to third. Santiago Espinal comes to the plate, and there is a RBI single, so Varsho scores after that. Following Espinal, Kevin Biggio comes on to pinch hit for George Springer. He also replaces him in right field. George Springer leaves the game following being hit by a pitch in the bottom of the third, and went for X-rays on his hand. Thankfully, we got the news back that another negative X-ray for a J hit by a pitch. So I actually think luck is on our side right now. It seems like because Espinal got hit on the weekend, and now Springer today, and in both cases, really they're just ending up with bruises on their hand, and that's a really bad place to get a baseball.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just as Springer seemed to be kind of turning things around a little bit, he's had kind of a rough start. Um, maybe some of his numbers look like he's been just having some bad luck. I know, he had a couple bad luck balls like in the Astros series, but this series he's been hitting a couple good luck balls and just seems to be turning it around. I would have hated it to see him go down with an injury just as that's happening.
Well, definitely in numbers, Springer has not been lighting it up, but I think his contact at the plate has been quite good, and I think he his his plate appearances have been filled with bad luck. He's stung the ball many times, and they've just ended up with fielders in the right position or just making outs that wouldn't normally be made. So I was not in I was not worried for Springer in the least. He seemed to be having good plate appearances. It just wasn't turning into runs and hits, but that always turns around. Good plate appearances eventually turn into hits and you know good series for a player. Now, top of the six, we have Kikuchi coming out of the game with Eric Swanson replacing him. Kikuchi's pitching line: 5.2 innings pitched, 4 hits, 0 earned runs, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. So another very similar pitching line from Kikuchi. Very little walks, over a strikeout per inning, and he goes his usual 5-6 innings. Now the bottom of the seventh, the Jays go off with some more offense. We have a Bo solo home run, a Vladdy double, Chapman walks, Varsho gets hit by a pitch. Witt then steps to the plate and hits a 2-run RBI single, and that inning ends 7-0. Top eight, we have a pitching change where Yimi Garcia replaces Swanson. Bottom eight, the Jays add one more run where Espinal singles and Bo Bichette eventually steps to the plate, hitting another RBI single. The bottom of the eighth ends 8-0. The top of the ninth sees another pitching change with Trevor Richards coming on to replace Yimi Garcia, and he has a clean 3 strikeout top of the ninth, and the game ends 8-0. We have our winning pitcher, Yusa Kikuchi, as you touched on earlier. He's now 4-0 with a 3.0 ERA, and his whip is dropped to 1.11. Our losing pitcher, Michael Kopech. The Jays sweep this series. Their record is now 16-9, and they have won 6 of 8 series to start the year. And I guess unsurprisingly, the way that the AL East has started this year, they are only third. So they still have the Orioles are just ahead of them, and then of course the streaking Tampa Bay Rays are in first.
Yeah, the Rays lost today, so hopefully they're able to inch back and stay competitive. I'm sure that the Rays aren't going to win, 150 games this year, which is seemingly the pace that they're on. But they're keeping pace to a certain degree, and I'm sure they'll catch them.
Dustin, can you give me your player of the series?
I'm going to go with Bo Bichette. I think he had 5 hits, 2 walks. He raised his average to 340 this series. Mostly bolstered by the final game there. He went 3 for 4, 3 RBIs in that final game. And he's still the MLB hit leader. At least he's tied for it with Acuna. So I'm going to give it to Bo.
Well, Bo is a great pick. He also had 3 RBIs and a couple walks. Of course, the home run today as well. I am going to go a little bit different than I usually do. I usually tend to go with the batter who has maybe the most hits, runs, and RBIs. But I'm actually going to go with Whit Merrifield for his consistent performance throughout this series. I think Whit Merrifield has really, after a bit of a slow start, has I think he's going to be the everyday second baseman. Now, not every day he will play because of the outfield situation. So when Kiermaier or Springer has a day off, he will be out patrolling the outfield somewhere, either in left field or right. But I think in most situations where we have our starting outfield intact, I expect Whit Merrifield to be at second base. So there is an off day on Thursday. Following that, the Jays welcome Teoscar Hernandez and the Seattle Mariners. There is no pitching matchups confirmed as of yet, but it's looking to be Manoah, Gosman, and then Bassett. The Seattle Mariners are currently 11 and 12 and fourth in the AL West. Dustin, I was wondering if you could give us some thoughts on the Seattle Mariners.
Well, as we all know, they're the team that we faced in the wild card series. So this will be a really good opportunity for some redemption, keep the streak going. I think Seattle's a really good team, so it's not going to be easy, but I think that they can uh, definitely take another couple wins here at least, if not a sweep again. I'd love to see a nice put together a nice big long win streak. I think we got 4 right now. Make it 7.
Back to back sweeps would be very nice. He had 2 runs, 3 hits, 3 RBIs, and 1 walk, and he raised his season average to 313. So that's definitely more Whit Merrifield territory in terms of batting average.
He's definitely solidifying his position as the starting second baseman. As you say, he's kind of going to move around and play the outfield as needed, but it seems like they're going to want him in the lineup as much as they can get, at least while he's hot, and hopefully he can keep it up.
Well, I kind of see Witt similarly to Alejandro Kirk in that, obviously, Kirk cannot play as many positions, but I think most days we're going to see Alejandro Kirk, whether it's behind the plate or at DH or pinch hitting, like he's going to be circling around. I think just due to his quality. But Witt is, I think Witt's going to be there most games. It just depends on where he's going to be. But his versatility is definitely one of his strengths. And I imagine if you talk to him, he's playing every day, so the man has to be happy. So at the end of the day, whether he's being shuffled around, I don't think he really cares about that. He's playing pretty much every day, and that's what a ball player wants. All right, I think that's all the time we have. Dustin, thank you very much for joining me again, and thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you for listening to Station here on Organized Chaos Sports. We'll be back on Monday to review the 3-game weekend series versus the Seattle Mariners. Thanks for listening, and until next time.